In 2012, NASA announced the end of our galaxy, a head-on collision, 4 billion years. It was called a certainty. Then in 2025, they ran the future 100,000 times, and the certainty fell apart. The odds of a direct hit are now under 2%. And the thing that might save us is a galaxy most people have never heard of. 2.5 million light-years from here, there is a smudge of light in the constellation Andromeda. On a dark night, you can see it without a telescope. It is the most distant thing the human eye can see unaided. It is also a galaxy, a trillion stars, and it is coming toward us at 110 kilometers per second. That part has never been in doubt. We have measured the approach for over a century. Light from Andromeda is shifted toward the blue end of the spectrum, and blue means closing. But knowing something is coming toward you is not the same as knowing it will hit you. A bullet fired at the sky is coming toward the sky. What matters is the sideways motion, and for 100 years, nobody could measure it. On the 31st of May, 2012, NASA said they finally had. Roland van der Merel and his team at the Space Telescope Science Institute pointed Hubble at selected patches of Andromeda and photographed them over and over for 7 years. They were not looking at the galaxy. They were looking through it, at distant background objects, fixed points, a reference grid. Against that grid, Andromeda drifted. Barely, but measurably. The sideways motion came out close to zero. Their words, statistically consistent with a head-on collision. The simulations followed. 4 billion years to first contact, 2 billion more to settle. The two spirals would tear each other apart and reassemble into a single elliptical galaxy. Someone named it Milkdromeda. Every documentary since has repeated it as fact. And here is the party those documentaries get right, and it is worth saying before we take the collision away. Nothing hits anything. Galaxies are not solid. The average distance between neighboring stars is roughly 10 million times the width of a star. Shrink the sun down to a grain of sand, and the nearest grain is dozens of kilometers away. Slam two of those clouds together, and the stars pass straight through, untouched. What collides is gas. Enormous clouds of it fall inward, crash, and ignite. A burst of new star formation that would light the sky for hundreds of millions of years. The solar system would probably not be destroyed. It would just be moved, flung outward into a different orbit under a completely rearranged sky. That was the story. And then the data changed. On the 2nd of June 2025, a team led by Sawala published in Nature Astronomy under a title that leaves no room for interpretation, no certainty of a Milky Way Andromeda collision. They did something the 2012 team could not. They took 22 separate variables, masses, positions, velocities, each one carrying its own margin of error, and instead of picking the single best value for each, they let all of them vary at once. Then they ran the future 100,000 times. The result: the two galaxies merge in about half of them, 50-50, over 10 billion years. And the head-on collision, the one from 2012, the one in every documentary, under 2%. NASA published this themselves. The headline on their own site reads, "Apocalypse When?" So what changed? The Milky Way and Andromeda are not alone out there. They have companions, and companions have gravity. The first is Triangulum, M33, a small spiral, third largest in our neighborhood, and it sits on Andromeda's side of the field. Its pull nudges the Milky Way toward Andromeda. It makes the merger more likely. The second is the Large Magellanic Cloud. It orbits us, and here is the detail that matters. Its orbit runs roughly perpendicular to the line between us and Andromeda, so it does not pull us forward. It does not pull us back. It pulls us sideways, off the plane, out of the path. A satellite galaxy that we are currently tearing apart may be the reason we miss. And if we miss, the two galaxies simply fly past one another, lose a little energy, and swing back around. Maybe. Eventually. Or not at all. There is one more thing, and it reframes the entire question. Even in the half of futures where the merger does happen, it happens on a timescale of 5 to 10 billion years. The sun becomes a red giant in about 5, and Earth does not last anywhere near that long. As the sun slowly brightens, the oceans boil. That deadline is roughly 1 billion years from now. 1 billion, not 4, not 10. Whatever Andromeda does or does not do, there will be nothing here to watch it. The apocalypse everyone films has under a 2% chance. The one that is actually scheduled by our own star, almost nobody talks about. 50-50, 22 variables, 100,000 simulations. Ask again in a decade, when Gaia has measured more, and the number will move again. The file stays open.